I'm Rob Dietz.
I'm Jason Bradford.
And I'm Asher Miller. Welcome to Crazy Town, where if you say the word death, we'll kill you.
Immortality projects represent an often irrational and sometimes even unconscious way to tamp down anxiety about death. There are some shocking examples of people, especially those with lots and lots of money, who try to leave some sort of mark in a futile attempt to keep from facing death. In this episode, we run a special fantasy football-style draft to take a look at immortality projects, some horrendous, but some with positive effects. Hey Jason, hey Asher, welcome to the show today.
Thank you.
Great to be here with you.
Yeah, today I'm excited because we are going to add a bit of fun, maybe you could even call it some extra spice, to one of the most fascinating topics we've ever covered here in Crazy Town.
Oh my gosh, what a setup. We better deliver.
Right. Well, what we're going to do is we're going to build on the episode that we did that's called Fear of Death and Climate Denial. And we actually re-released this episode last time in our feed. So, listeners, if you want, go listen to that first. It's a really good preamble to what we're discussing today. We recorded a fresh intro and slapped that on there. But that episode about the fear of death, I loved making it. I found it absolutely fascinating.
It didn't make you
morbid fascination.
More filled with hatred and outgroup animus or any of that
Did
stuff?
You want
when
vengeance after that episode? Vengeance.
You guys are hitting on why I loved it so much.
Oh, okay.
I became a supervillain in an X-Men comic.
I like it.
Nice.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nice.
No, in that episode, we covered the idea that we humans, we act irrationally as a result of knowing that we're going to die one day. That's it in a nutshell. The fear of death has profound effects on our psychology. And in our attempt to deny that we're going to die, that harsh reality, we just get these really screwed up behaviors.
And what's great about this, what's wickedly wonderful is that we usually don't even know about it.
I think that's the key part.
Yes.
Is if you're aware of it and you're conscious of that fear of death, I think that actually helps tamp down on some of these things. It's more the unconscious stuff.
Because people get put into these experiments. They don't even know they're in an experiment. So there's this one where these judges, I don't know how this was done exactly, but apparently judges were like in a court, they're doing petty crime stuff, little misdemeanors. Judges reminded of their death someday. When they go into court, they're going to hand out harsher sentences.
Life in prison.
Yeah.
This is why it's important to understand this is happening. Because when I get angry at my dog, I quickly realize it, apologize, and just tell her that I'm afraid of dying.
Yeah,
and fix my behavior.
Yeah, I know. There was another experiment that people were more willing to inflict pain with hot sauce.
Right.
You're not going to kill anybody, but it's like, you're going to add a little more habanero.
Well, I got to say, maybe one of our approaches is to come up with relatively benign ways of people expressing their fear of death. Because what we have right now is some pretty ugly shit going on with all the scapegoating that's happening. The deep partisanship around political lines, the othering of people that don't look like us. We covered that a little bit in our Escape Routes episode. I think it was episode 92, Escaping Otherism, Why Dr. Seuss Could Never Find a Rhyme for Genocide. That was a pretty good title.
What I think somebody should do, this would be fun, if one of the listeners wants to go down, a crazy rabbit hole, and have fun, get out a giant whiteboard and they put index cards, all our episodes and titles, and then they have
pins, yarn thing?
Yeah, pins and strings and yarn, and they're connecting each one, because that would be a great picture.
Well, then they realize that there's no connection whatsoever. These guys who claim to be systems thinkers they're just going off in wild directions. Well, okay, so today's episode, we get to add another irrational behavior to the mix. It's something that we didn't cover much in that episode. And that's the concept of the Immortality project. You want to define that for our listeners, Jason?
I'd love to, and it's actually in our notes. It's written right in front of me, so this is going to be really easy. Okay.
Don't pull the curtain back, dude.
Sorry, a fifth wall or something? I don't know which wall it is. Okay. To tamp down on your anxiety about death, basically what we're talking about is when you do something to make a lasting impression on the world. So if your physical body is going to die and decompose, you might take in a project that lives beyond your lifetime. So this is what we are calling an immortality project.
Okay, so I wanted to do this in a fun way. So we're bringing back the draft, akin to, say, fantasy football or in the NBA. And what we're going to do is we're going to have 3 rounds in which each of us gets to pick our favorite, I'll put that in quotes, favorite immortality projects. So round 1 is going to be the biggest, most absurd, most off-putting immortality project that you've observed out there in your life or in the news or wherever. Round 2 will also have some absurdity to it, but these are really small and really inane, maybe ineffective attempts at achieving immortality. And then round 3, we're going to do something quite wild. We're going to change our perspective. That round is about an example of someone putting their death anxiety to good use. Kind of you were alluding to this, Asher, before. Maybe we can find a better way to channel.
Yeah.
So round 3 is going to be doing an immortality project that's good for people in the planet.
Nice.
I did a random drawing, and so the pick order is going to be Jason, then me, then Asher.
Nice.
I love going last.
I love going first. So here's mine. Most people seem to be in awe of the Egyptian pyramids, right? They're tourist attractions. People climb on them and take pictures.
I think you're not allowed to do that.
Not anymore?
You're not supposed to.
Okay, but in the past you did, right? I find them to be one of the most offensive displays.
Oh, really? Oh,
yeah.
This is a hot take.
Yeah. Of complete self-possessed narcissism, arrogance, and denial of death in human history. Like, these are hideous. If you understand what went into them, right? If you look at
These
them.
are the largest structures, that were ever built for thousands of years.
And they were built with hundreds of thousands of slaves. So the Egyptian empire would go and they would capture and enslave people, bring them to Egypt, put them on work gangs. They usually didn't live very long, and they would burn through hundreds of thousands of people over 20 years or so to build one of these big pyramids. The death and mayhem represented by each one of these pyramids is obscene.
That's probably what each block is meant to convey. This block represents 20 people that die, and then you see how many blocks create the thing.
Yeah, and then inside, there's this gilded casket, literally, gilded casket with a mummy. And often the mummy is holding a mummy of their cat or whatever inside. So they're sacrificing pets.
It's like a James Bond villain with
their servants as well. Didn't they bury people with?
And then there's like a chamber of loot. So then
But they need all that for when they come back.
Right.
So this is the original cryogenic freezing chamber without the cryogenics.
But just think about the minds of these pharaohs.
Yeah.
I mean, they are at levels that we only now can comprehend.
Well, the other thing that happened with pharaohs was that they would try to outdo each other, right?
Yes,
They were trying to get bigger and bigger, and at a certain point,
Yes. You got a little pyramid.
Exactly.
Well, remember, too, our episode on skyscrapers where we were making fun of the competition for the tallest building. Like, that's the original skyscraper, too. So what did you call them? You said they were pyramids of hideousness or something like that?
Something like that.
I mean, just double down on it.
Completely. So yes, there we go. There's another thread, another yarn between this episode and our skyscraper episode now.
Yeah. So, okay, so your number 1 pick is the pyramids.
Yes.
Okay, my turn.
Yep.
For biggest, most absurd, most off-putting immortality project that I've ever observed.
Okay.
I got to give you guys a little story to begin. When I left college, I got a job in environmental policy consulting. And 3 years later, after paying off my student loans, I was just done, fried. I got to get out of corporate America. So I quit my job, took the summer off to ride a bicycle across the country. And when I came back, I didn't know how I wanted to re-enter the workforce. So I was, applying for jobs. I actually interviewed at the now defunct investment bank, Lehman Brothers.
Oh, R.I.P.
Yeah. Thankfully, I didn't get that job, so I started contracting with my old company, which it was funny because I was making more money per hour, but working a lot less. But this is America, so I didn't have health care.
Right.
So I realized if I want to have health care and a social life, I got to rejoin the workforce. So I ended up with a job at this litigation consulting company. Okay. They provided expert testimony in court cases.
Yes, I know of these.
Yeah, it was absolute drudgery, but there were really smart people working there. I had these colleagues that were funny and smart, and I was like, I want to start a company with these guys. We could have like this boutique consulting company. I had just come off of, billing my old company a bunch of money.
Yeah.
I was like, I think I could really make this work. So I tried to recruit some of these people, and nobody was having it. And I was really sad because, we could have called it Dietz Enterprises or the Dietz Company, Dietz R Us, Dietzonomics, Dietzmart.
Yes. Yeah. No, you could have had your name plastered all over this thing.
Any number of narcissistic choices.
What you're telling us is that the biggest, most absurd Immortality project was your attempt of your own business?
It's my kind of inroad. So, I've already brought up the Lehman Brothers, right? I want to give you a couple highlights of that corporation.
Okay.
Founded in 1844 in Montgomery, Alabama, as a general store. Henry Lehman opens up a general store. Yeah.
Okay.
So then his brothers, Meyer and Emanuel, come on board, and they become a commodities trading company. And their main commodity is cotton.
Yes.
In the 1850s,
yes.
Montgomery, Alabama.
Yes.
You think there's any shadiness, suspicious pre-Civil War Alabama?
Probably.
Maybe it has something to do with the pyramids.
But at least it was organic at that point.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
They didn't have that good a pesticide, right?
Yeah.
So in 1906, the Lehman Brothers shifted into investment banking with the help of another Immortality Project-oriented company, Goldman Sachs.
Yes.
And then by 2007, they had grown into the fourth largest investment bank in the U.S. They were very much into mortgage-backed securities. I suggest you go watch one of my favorite movies, The Big Short, if you want to see how that one turned out. The housing market crashed. And this is the amazing thing that happens when you're researching stuff for Crazy Town. I looked up the bankruptcy of Lehman Brothers. It still holds the record as the biggest default in history. It was $691 billion in debt when they declared bankruptcy.
So far, it's the biggest.
Right.
I mean, we're blowing some pretty big bubbles right now.
Yeah, I mean,
Debt bubbles.
the AI investment is going to be $3 trillion or so. So let's see. Hold my beer, AI says.
Yeah.
No, so I wonder if that Lehman's catalog, right, which is that like primitive tool catalog. Have you heard of this?
No, I don't know that.
Oh my gosh, I wonder if this is an offshoot.
So that's actually their true lasting legacy, was the catalog.
The general store catalog. It's like a general store catalog from the 1800s.
Oh, it could be.
And I'm wondering if it was like one of the cousins is like, I'm just going to stick with you if you go off. And they're still around, whereas Lehman. So are you saying like naming a corporation that survives is the immortality thing?
It's, to me, the way I would label the draft pick is establish a massive, exploitative, profit-driven company and then put your name all over it. A couple other examples, Peabody Energy, which was originally Peabody Coal.
Yeah.
You got a John Prine song about that, how his county in Kentucky got wiped off the map by Mr. Peabody's coal train.
Where paradise lay. Well, I'm sorry, my son, but you're too late in asking. Mr. Peabody's coal train has hauled it away.
And then, of course, the Trump Organization with some of the most consumptive, luxury industries in a conglomerate. And now comes with a lifetime supply of political corruption.
I like this because it used to be you would put your name on like a stadium.
Yeah.
But then they keep switching it up. Like that's not
you
lifetime.
have to keep sponsoring.
Yeah, and they tear them down.
See,
and
this
there's
is
a new
where
one.
Trump is smart. He's like, right now he's trying to hold hostage some funding for the state of New York so that they'll change the name of Penn Station to be Trump Station.
No.
I think which airport? Dulles Airport, maybe he's trying to change it into Trump as well. So it's hard to change those. You can't do it quite like the sponsorship of a sports stadium or something like that. So he's got the right idea here.
There's a bonus to my draft pick too, which it comes with irony, right? Because this sort of immortality project, you have these companies that are bringing us much closer to mortality.
Yes.
So they're actually doing the opposite
They don't know that.
of what they want to be doing.
They don't know that.
Yeah. All right, we're turning to you, Asher. What is your number one?
Mine's different, okay? This is not biggest. It's not actually something that you would see physically anywhere, right?
When you were in grade school, did your teachers give you N's and U's for follows directions, like needs
Probably
improvement
not.
or
Yeah.
unsatisfactory?
I don't know. I wasn't in class, so I'm not sure.
It explains it.
So I want to talk about Henry VIII.
Wow.
Yeah.
Big robes, I think. I remember big robes.
Big beard, big belly.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Henry VIII, was the Tudor king of England, famous for having many wives, famous for killing some of them.
Yeah, beheading.
Right? He had 6 wives between 1509 and his death in 1547. And it was all driven by his need to have a male heir.
Oh, right. Oh,
so
right.
this was all about the immortality of the Tudor lineage, right? His first wife that he married, who was actually the wife of his brother, I think, they tried and tried for years unsuccessfully to have a male heir. He wound up deciding that he had to annul that wedding, even though they had actually had sex.
Yeah.
Because you couldn't get divorced at the time.
Right.
And this actually led to basically the breakup in England and the creation of the Church of England.
Because he couldn't get Rome to annul it.
He couldn't get an annulment, right?
Oh, my God.
I'm having trouble following because I'm still wondering what the hell his brother was thinking about all of this.
His brother was dead.
Okay.
So
That's better.
Yeah, you tend to inherit your brother's wife when they die back in the day.
He had 2 marriages annulled. He had 2 wives killed. He accused them of basically cheating on him, right? One of his wives died just soon after childbirth. And then I think the last one outlived him. Okay, but he basically, was relentlessly trying to get this male heir.
But did he get one? I can't remember.
No.
Oh, the
Queen
poor guy.
Elizabeth.
Oh, so then we had to have a female queens? This is where that started?
Jason, man, your sympathies are in the
Had
wrong
to
place
have
here.
Female queens. Yeah, and that was the whole split up with the Queen Mary and Queen Elizabeth because they were daughters from different wives.
Wow.
There was like all this stuff going on. But again, this is a form of an immortality project.
I gotta
for
watch
him.
some costume drama and just
There's some greats. There are actually some great books
Yes.
about that period. Yeah.
My wife is really into these costume dramas, so I got to just sit next to her on the couch or something like that. Okay. Some Masterpiece Theater or something like that.
Sure.
Okay.
That's a
good one.
Yeah, that is a good one. I like that.
I like that a lot.
Okay, that's round 1 in the books of our big off-putting immortality projects. Round 2, we're hitting smaller, maybe more inane attempts at achieving immortality. So Jason, take it away with your second round draft pick.
Okay, are you guys ready to have steam sort of like just like come out of your ears like a cartoon?
I'm always ready to have steam.
Okay, I'm just going to read you a quote from a news article. You ready?
Sure.
Jonathan Pavone and Daniel Plata, both 28 years old, were sentenced this Friday, November 4th, 3 years after they tagged their aliases, Kluwer and Vaylor, in bold letters at several sites at White River Narrows in 2019. Perhaps most glaring was a large 20-foot-long graffiti mark that appeared on a rock face with petroglyphs. At the time, one of the convicted men posed in front of his work for a photograph.
Oh.
So there are literally...
These fucking people.
There are hundreds, thousands of these petroglyphs that are getting graffitied by small-minded,
Stupid
ignorant
fuckers.
doofuses
Yeah. God.
who hike out and go, oh, 4,000 years ago, somebody scratched a rock. I'm going to put my lipstick on this or whatever, right?
That was an incredible impression of what they probably say as they're defacing the petroglyphs.
I don't think they probably know that they're 4,000 years old. They just see something old and they're like, yeah.
Some of them do. Like there's these ones that are like these people that put that.
Those people are worse.
They take out spray cans and are like white power and stuff like this because they're just trying to be,
They're
this
trolling.
is they're trolling. This is our land, not yours, you ancient Indian people.
Fucking assholes.
This happens all the time. On November 17th, this is 2025, a Utah woman was sentenced for vandalizing a panel of Native American petroglyphs in southern Utah in 2024. Her punishment, 12 months of probation and nearly $15,000 in fines and restitution fees. And the problem
We
is
should have told the judge right beforehand
Yes,
that he was going to die.
I know.
So
This
she
is
get
not
a
enough.
longer sentence.
What is it? What is it? These
I think that might, they're thinking that the original people that put the petroglyphs up were having an immortality project of their own.
Yeah.
And they're just trying to mask that.
Yeah. Yeah. No.
How's that for rationalization?
There you go. That's fine. That's fine.
No, that one is very frustrating. And I'm glad that I have the next pick because I'm
Okay.
going to bring things back to a kind of a funnier level, I
Thank
think.
you.
So in my years of university attendance, my professors had pretty nondescript titles. Like I had a professor named Bob Giegengak, professor of
That's a great name.
environmental studies.
Giegengak.
Yeah, it is. People called him Geeg. Randy
like it.
Diamond, professor of civil and environmental engineering. But now professors have these bizarre titles thanks to an immortality project. So my draft pick is the act of obscenely wealthy people putting their names on professorships.
This is a good one.
So I went over to the Harvard. I went over to Harvard University's Department of Economics for some fine examples.
Okay.
You've got the Fred and Eleanor Glimp, professor of economics. You've got the Paul Sack, associate professor of political economy. And you've got the Morton L. and Carol S. Olshan, professor of economics. Now, I'm not making fun of the people. Let me just be clear.
Which people?
Any of them. Either the one who is the
professors?
professor
Okay.
or the ones whose names are in the professorship. I mean, I think they're trying to give away their money and all, but I'm making fun of the practice. This is a really odd way to sort of have your name live on for eternity.
Yeah.
I get it. Sometimes it can be about remembering somebody, like I don't know if these people were in fact wealthy or if they were just like the university really loved them and wants their name on a professorship.
No. We know.
Dude,
what are you talking
what are you
about? How
talking
naive
about?
can you be? What the fuck?
But it does, I mean, it does beg the question.
It's a pay to play. Come on.
Well, you got to think, does Harvard really need to be reduced to selling
Of course it does.
professor titles? I mean,
Harvard's ridiculous.
we know that Trump wants to sue Harvard for $1 billion.
That's
but
what he should be suing them for because they didn't name any of their chairs after him. Right?
I mean, this is they do have the largest endowment. They're super wealthy, but you can never have enough, is what you realize.
Yeah,
course you
$57 billion is their current endowment.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Okay.
that is mine, the weird professor names.
That's a good one. Thank
Okay.
you, sir.
Well, guess what, guys? I'm still not following rules.
Okay.
I'm doing this one a little bit differently because I feel like we should actually talk about something that
Relevant and meaningful.
that's actually part of this immortality project thing, and that is actually trying to be immortal.
Yeah, I agree.
Right? Like,
Yes.
we're talking about stupid attempts at like leaving some kind of legacy behind.
Yeah.
But I want to just talk about, people's attempts, literal attempts
I
to
know.
achieve immortality,
I
right?
know. I thought that was too easy. I didn't go there, but I thank you for doing the easy one.
Sure. The easy one, yeah. So, I want to go back in history, right? Because
Okay.
probably the earliest example of this, known example, is the Epic of Gilgamesh, right? So it's a poem written over 3,000 years ago. And in it, Gilgamesh, he's the king of a city called Uruk
Yep.
in ancient Sumer. And he goes on a journey to discover everlasting life after the devastating loss of his friend Enkidu, right? But there's a parable in this story, which is that on his journey, he can't find the magical elixir to life. He discovers that actually immortality comes from leaving behind a great legacy. In his case, it was like building big walls for
Floods.
for the city,
Okay, that's
to
good
defend
too.
against people.
Yeah.
So it'd be nice if people kind of learned that lesson. Unfortunately, not everyone took that lesson to heart, right?
Right.
So I want to talk about, I don't know if you guys remember this. We might have talked about this person very briefly in an episode that we did, episode 51, A Load of Papal Bull, right?
Yes, that was a great one too. Another thread, another pin in the board.
So, yeah, thank you. You guys might not remember Pope Innocent VIII.
It's a great name.
A great name.
Oh my
Yeah,
gosh.
totally. That episode of ours was actually about Pope Alexander VI, right?
Okay.
He was the one, he was like super corrupt. I don't know if you remember this. We talked about the way he basically bought his papacy, right?
Yes.
He's now infamous, I would say infamous, for the papal bulls that he passed when early in his term of being pope, I guess you call it that.
Yeah.
And those are the papal bulls that basically split up the globe between Spain and Portugal and
Right.
basically gave religious justification for colonization. But the only reason he became pope was because Pope Innocent VIII died. And he got a stroke, and they decided that they were going to try to save his life. And the way that they were going to do that was do a blood transfusion with 3 young men, right? And
Back in the day, how did that work?
This is the first known case of blood transfusion. Well, it didn't work. He died.
Did the young men die?
The 3 guys died
course.
too. Everyone died.
Well, they didn't know about blood type back then, I bet you.
It didn't work, right? But this was an attempt, And, and the reason I bring this up is because blood transfusions are one of the ways that people now...
we're getting better.
Yeah. Well, first of all, yes, blood transfusions, we got better at them. They've actually saved a lot of lives.
Yes.
But some people are looking at doing blood transfusions, again, back to getting young, young blood, right? So that you could extend your lifespan, right?
Yeah.
To rejuvenate your cells and everything.
Yeah, it's a vampire method.
So you won't be surprised at the kind of, the heart of the beast for this kind of stuff. Both university research projects are happening, looking at doing these kinds of things, and new startups are coming online to offer these services to people. Is Silicon Valley, right?
Yeah, of course.
And you got cases of Peter Thiel investing in some of this stuff or showing interest in it.
God.
You got the OpenAI guy. Has also expressed some interest in the past in this. So still alive.
And we've talked about our favorite guy like this, Brian Johnson.
Yes.
Yes.
But I think you got to just mention briefly Brian Johnson.
Brian-
Who has the best name for this?
He's got the best name because of the next thing I'm going to tell people. I'm sorry. Okay, plug your ears if you need to. It's totally legitimate. Brian Johnson posted on X data of his nighttime erections. I guess he has some sort of ring he puts on that can tell how long he's expanded. And his data he put side by side with his 19-year-old son's data.
Right.
And basically saying, look, I get hard about as much as my young son. This is how good my protocol is.
But he's also, wasn't he getting blood transfusions from his son?
Yes, he was getting blood transfusions from his son. But these guys are so gross.
Can't we just go back to the I want to be immortal by freezing my head in a deep freeze when I die? Do we have to resort to
that Han Solo thing when what was that in
frozen in carbonite
in Empire Strikes Back?
Yeah.
Oh my God, and his expression. I mean, the acting
he
there.
He didn't choose that. That's a little different.
No,
right?
he didn't do it. But
at least with the cryogenic stuff, you're choosing to have your head chopped off and put in a freezer.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
However dumb that is.
Unbelievable.
Introducing Red Dawn 3, Iceburn in Manitoba. A new motion picture brought to you by the people who made Melania. When the paratroopers of the world's largest paramilitary police force descended into the quiet town of Winkler, Canada, they thought victory would be quick and decisive. But they didn't anticipate running into the Winkler Wolverines, a ragtag team of high school hockey players who are wicked good with sticks, face masks, and skate blades.
What's this invasion all about? I thought we were friends.
We asked you to go home nicely, eh? Now eat my puck, Yankee scum.
Quick, climb onto the Zamboni. We're chasing them hosers out of town.
Red Dawn 3, Iceburn in Manitoba, checking the fascists back across the border.
Wolverines! All right, 2 rounds of the draft in the books. You have 1 more round to make your mark here. So round 3 is an immortality project that's actually good for people in the planet. So Jason?
I'm just so happy to be able to talk about something nice. This is great. This is a real feel-good story. Are you guys familiar with the Atlantic coastal rainforests in Brazil?
No. I mean, I can imagine they exist.
I haven't been either. I'd love to. But you can think of the Andes as this mountain range. And then there's this very long, you go across the continent to the east. And you get across the continent. And on the eastern edge of South America, there's this rainforest along the Atlantic coast.
That's
hence the name.
different than the Amazon?
Yes, because you've got a mountain. So the Amazon's all pretty lowland. So you get mountains. They're not super tall, but they're tall enough to get different biomes. You get cloud forests for essentially.
Nice. I know you love cloud forests.
I love cloud forests. And so what ends up happening is there's a ton of endemism because you have this isolated mountain range. That's how endemism tends to occur, right? So it's considered a biodiversity hotspot. And hotspots are places where there's a lot of richness, species richness, a lot of endemism, and there's a lot of threat. So there's a lot of habitat loss.
Endemism meaning they're basically only found in this one place.
Yes. So if you say it's endemic to this area, it means it's only in that area. It's nowhere else in the world. So this is a hotspot for those reasons. High endemism, high species richness, and very little habitats left proportionally. So I want to highlight the work of a group that was formed in 1998. They were a couple, the Salgados, a husband and wife, and they had 2,300 hectares of deforested land that they sort of inherited in their family. And what they've done since then is they set up a nursery. They go and they collect seeds from trees of this forest type in the region. They bring them back to the nursery. They grow them out. They reforested their entire property. And now, of course, they're finding partnerships and they're getting this ecosystem rebuilt. And so thousands of hectares are now getting reforested. Millions and millions of these trees are being planted. And the imagery of this place, like you look at it and there's this denuded, and now it's this lush rainforest again. Obviously it's young, but it's highly diverse and it's a start, right? And they are actually then impacting the fate, perhaps, of this entire hotspot ecoregion.
So your draft pick is ecosystem repair.
Yeah, and this particular place, and it is, here it is. Instituto Terra is the name of the organization, Instituto Terra.
All right, yeah, we'll get the link to that in the show notes. People go check that out. That is an amazing one. And my draft pick is quite a lot in common with yours. Maybe it's a little different. My draft pick is about conservation, which could include ecosystem repair, but it's been 10 years now since our colleague and adherent of deep ecology, Doug Tompkins, passed away.
10 years?
10 years.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, it feels like yesterday.
So Doug was an adventurer at heart, a world-class mountaineer and all-around outdoors enthusiast. He died in a kayak accident when his boat capsized in these really big swells on the frigid waters.
He died getting other people out of the water.
Yeah.
That's what it was.
Oh my God.
But their boat capsized on General Carrera Lake. I met him a couple times. I know you knew him too, Asher. Jason, did you ever meet him?
I've never met him, no.
Well, he helped fund some of the work that I've done in the past with ecological economics. And Doug is best known as an entrepreneur, having launched both the North Face and Esprit clothing companies. So anyway, he made $1 bazillion. That's a direct technical, to the nearest decimal point. And after that, he began a conservation effort with his wife, Christine McDivitt Tompkins. They founded Conservación Patagonica, and they got out on this journey to protect vast swaths of wilderness. And what happened is after Doug's death in 2018, Christine and the Chilean president announced the creation of 5 new national parks, the expansion of 3 others, and they've got these 2 flagship projects down in the southern end of South America, Pumalín and Patagonia National Parks. So the advice, especially to rich people, right? Instead of putting your money into some exploitative oil and tobacco companies with your name on them, maybe you could, do some conservation, set aside some lands, leave behind healthy places. I mean, this is akin to what you're talking about, Jason, that are going to support life for generations and hopefully eons to come.
I mean, this is great because, what do these places do? They regenerate, they keep going. So if there's actually any chance of sort of immortality in a sense, it's that the system
invest in life.
Yeah, the system regenerates. So the trees die, but the forest remains, kind of thing.
Yeah, and maybe when your body decomposes, the atoms can get sucked up in the roots of some tree or some awesome fungus or something.
Yes.
All right,
Well,
Asher,
I'm glad you brought up Doug.
you've got your third pick.
I do have my third pick.
Is it going to be another weird one? Well, I've loved your
Probably.
picks.
Well,
I loved your
just
picks.
listen,
I loved your
okay?
picks. I can't wait.
Okay. So I'm just going to actually have you follow my thought process a little bit for a second, right? So you think about an immortality project that actually is good for people or the planet. And of course, you could easily think of someone like Andrew Carnegie, right? Like was one of the Gilded Age millionaires, and he decided to leave a legacy behind by building thousands of libraries around the world, most of them in the US, right? But to me, I'm kind of more interested in forms of immortality that are like come about naturally or serendipitously, or because someone was just so taken by a passion or so gifted in some way or is so selfless and heroic. So you could talk about great artists like Vincent van Gogh, who became famous after his death. Or you could talk about somebody like Jonas Salk, who's saved countless lives, right?
Yeah.
But let's talk about the serendipity part for a second, okay? So have you guys ever heard of Hans Steininger?
No.
Hans Steininger was the mayor of a small town on the Austrian-German border in the 1500s, okay? And he's remembered to this day.
History lessons from Asher today. This is incredible.
You had a pope. You had
I got
Henry
more.
VIII, and now you got this?
You got
Hold on a
Gilgamesh and ancient Sumer.
I'm not done, guys.
I'm so excited.
So he's remembered to this day because of his nearly 5-foot-long beard, right?
Okay.
In fact, that beard is preserved to this day in a local museum. Killed him, okay? And it killed him because there was a huge fire that ravaged the town, and he was running away, and he tripped on his beard, fell downstairs, and killed himself.
Did the ZZ Top guys know about this?
No, apparently not, right? Now, unfortunately, Steininger is not the most famous person born in that town, okay? That claim goes to Adolf Hitler.
Oh, my God.
Yeah.
Wait, who is he?
But okay, that's not my immortality project I want to talk about.
Okay.
I want to talk about somebody who should be far better known than they are and immortalized. And that's Raoul Wallenberg. I may have brought him up to you guys before in the past, but Wallenberg is one of my heroes. When my oldest son, Avi, was born and we were kicking around middle names, Wallenberg made the final list for me in terms of middle name. We went with Biko instead. But Wallenberg was a Swedish architect, and he was sent by the Swedish government to Hungary during World War II as a special envoy. He went there in July 1944 when he was just 32 years old. A few months after the Germans basically started deporting hundreds and hundreds of thousands of Jews and gypsies and others to their deaths in camps in Poland. So at a time when Allied powers had all the evidence that they needed that genocides were taking place and refused to bomb rail lines that would have, saved lives, Wallenberg took it upon himself to save as many Jews as he could. So over a period of just a few months, he rented over 30 buildings in Budapest. He named them things like the Swedish Library, and he claimed that they were protected by diplomatic immunity. He put out big Swedish flags out in front of these buildings, and he wound up saving almost 10,000 people by giving them protective passes and then housing them in these buildings. And he put his own life at risk. So here's a quote from one of his drivers about Wallenberg intercepting a train that was about to send thousands of Jews to Auschwitz-Birkenau. And this is a quote. Quote, he climbed up on the roof of the train and began handing in protective passes through the doors, which were not yet sealed. He ignored orders from the Germans for him to get down. And then the Aerocross men began shooting and shouting at him to go away. He ignored them and calmly continued handing out passports to the hands that were reaching out for them. I believe the Aerocross men deliberately aimed over his head as not one shot him, which would have been impossible otherwise. I think this is what they did because they were so impressed by his courage. After Wallenberg had handed out the last of the passports, he ordered all those who had one to leave the train and walk to the caravan of cars parked nearby, all marked in Swedish colors. I don't remember exactly how many, but he saved dozens off of that train, and the Germans and Aerocross were so dumbfounded that they let him get away with it.
That's an amazing story.
Now, sadly, Wallenberg was arrested and disappeared by the Soviets right after the Soviets took over Hungary.
Wow.
They arrested him for espionage, and it was only decades later, because people were on the hunt for this man. They heard stories of this young Swedish diplomat who'd saved all of these lives. But it was only decades later that research found evidence he died in probably the most famous prison in Russian history, Lubyanka, in 1947 at the age of 34.
Oh my gosh, he was so young.
So young, right? And I bring this up because we have a moment right now where there are actually people stepping up in courageous ways in the streets of the United States and many other countries that we don't know the names of these people.
Right.
And our leaders, by contrast, are not showing the same amount of courage at all. So if you want to be immortal, do it for the right reasons. Fuck putting your name on a building, grandiose displays of immortality or trying to prolong your life forever. Just do the right thing.
That's our show. Thanks for listening. If you like what you heard and you want others to consider these issues, then please share Crazy Town with your friends. Hit that share button in your podcast app or just tell them face to face. Maybe you can start some much needed conversations and do some things together to get us out of Crazy Town. Thanks again for listening and sharing.
Crazy Town, da, 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 crazy town.